I feel like every teenage girl, you kind of want to live somewhere else.
I'm from another country, but that was also pretty great for me because
the average German person is...
Throughout my time in college, I was lucky enough to live in a few different places in the US and in Germany. I got to travel around, and I've made a bunch of videos about what it's like to live in these different places. And while I like those, I don't feel like it captured the full picture of what it means to move around or to move abroad. I'm just one guy, and I'm an American, and my experience is probably just unique to me. So because of that, last year when I was living in Germany, I interviewed a few of my friends, and I wanted to ask them what their experiences were like moving abroad or what their thoughts would be about doing something like that.
I'm Caroline. I'm 25 and I'm studying medicine right now. I'm almost at the end. And yeah, I'm living in Würzburg right now to study for the last exam. Yeah. I have family in Poland. I actually grew up speaking both languages. And I think actually I started speaking Polish until I was 4 years old, and then I kind of learned German in kindergarten.
Okay. My name is Jonah. I've been in Germany for a year now, so since May of 2023. So I'm in Germany because my girlfriend lives here. I'm an American, but I'm also German. So, yeah. I grew up speaking German. My mom is from Germany, so she's from Nuremberg, which isn't too far out from here. And my dad is from Minnesota, and so am I.
You spent a semester in the US, right?
Yeah, exactly.
How was that experience?
my experience in Auburn was pretty great because first of all, today we get good weather here, and in Auburn the weather's like pretty warm. Overall, also the people in the south of the US are pretty kind. I've just met people from the south, so I don't know about the rest, but it was just so great, like meeting people, talking to them. They were like so friendly. What I also really love is football, like going to the stadium, like seeing the team play, seeing the eagle fly around the whole court. War Eagle, yeah.
Have you had the desire to go live in another country? Where would you want to go?
I feel like every teenage girl, you kind of want to live somewhere else. At least I did. And the first things were actually America, because I was watching, I think, YouTube videos of American girls, and then you were kind of fascinated about, I think it was just because they had like cool stuff from Bath and Beyond or something.
Bed Bath & Beyond?
Yeah, yeah.
What do they have from?
I don't know, like hand sanitizer that was scented. You've seen like America, it's so cool, like the newest things you get there, and like every trend kind of starts there. At least I felt like it was like that. So that's why I wanted to live there. Then I started being fascinated by other countries too, like England and stuff. I guess it's because of the language, because I'm really good at it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I grew up in the US, full-fledged American, but I also speak German, which made it a lot easier here to, to kind of understand people and to kind of, to kind of get into the in-group instead of being like the foreigner.
Right.
Because you can't immediately tell, but there is upsides and there is downsides. The upsides are people are frank with you. So people talk to you like you're their fellow German,
Right.
which is nice, and I am. But
Yeah.
sooner or later, you come across a word, and this is the downside. You come across a word or a phrase that you don't really know, because the vocabulary used here is on another level compared to what I was using with my family. There's tons of phrases, and that's one of the things you have to get used to. Is like you have to like ask, hey, what does that mean? Or, what do you mean by that? Because it's not always obvious what a phrase means. But yeah, so that's definitely one of like the language aspect of what I had to get used to when going here. And another downside, another upside to being a foreigner actually, is that people know you're a foreigner, so they treat you like one. And they maybe won't use like as many like phrases. They'll dial it down and back for you, like a little back for you, or they'll speak English, or if they do speak German, they'll be like a little bit of like respect for the fact that you're a foreigner. If you don't have an accent, there's none of that, and so they'll just give you like confused. If
You're
you
just
don't
like actually a
understand. You're
stupid German.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I felt, and I was like, oh no, why am I in this position?
Yeah. How was your experience with the language? Like obviously, I mean, you knew English really well before going. Was there any difficulty of like getting used to talking to Americans every day, or?
Yeah, at the start I imagined that would be pretty easy to learn English because I've had it in school for like 5 or 7 years. I don't know it anymore. But at the start, the problem is if you go to different countries, there are like easy words that you don't know. For example, I didn't know the words stove or stuff. I don't know, and I had a lot of weird situations where I was like, oh yeah, I have to put the pot on this glass thing, which is warming up the stuff. So still, when I went to a store, everyone could instantly hear that I'm from another country, but that was also pretty great for me because through that, like everyone was hyped. Oh yeah, you're from a different country. Like tell me more. And
Was it ever? Because I feel like everybody would be interested. Like you speak in a German accent, people are like, "What?" Like you just don't hear that a lot in the U.S.
Yeah, that was crazy. I just went to supermarkets and I was like, where can I find the milk? And they're like, oh, you have an accent. Are you from Germany? And then they asked me some stuff. So I really loved my
Friendly, like
experience.
Southerners.
What I'll say to this is I think it really depends on where in the US you are. In the South, there's a lot of different types of American culture, but there's not a lot of international influence. So I definitely feel like if you're a German moving there, like you probably have a lot better experiences meeting people. And that's kind of how I felt where I was at in Germany. I was in a smaller town, so everyone was like, oh, cool, it's like an American. I think it'd be a very different experience than if I were to, live in Munich or Berlin or something like that. And one thing that I think is super interesting is it's almost like being a foreigner gives you kind of like a foot in the door to getting connected or meeting people. You have this it factor that stands out to other people. Like when they meet you, they're instantly intrigued, and so they want to ask about you, they want to learn more about where you're from, what you're doing here, that kind of stuff. And so it gives you like an easy connection to meet people quickly versus, if I'm moving from one small town in Georgia to another, or someone in Germany moving from Berlin to Hamburg, like, I don't know, you meet a new person, they don't have a reason to necessarily talk to you or get to know you. And so as weird as it sounds, I feel like moving somewhere drastically new like that almost gives you this in to start off and make a connection. Just a thought.
Do you have fears about moving somewhere? Would there be something that would hold you back?
Everything regarding like what are the rules and what do you have to think about, because here in Germany you need like some kind of certificate for this and that, and you need to go there and do this, and then you need to pay that and whatever. Like where you can go where you know that people are open and accepting and would like be like open to integrate you into their culture.
It was like really easy to integrate myself because you guys have like a strong community, but that does not mean that you're not open to other people. So it was like really easy for me to take that hype that you guys have and also being hyped. And
you feel like lonely or feel like you were kind of disconnected at
I
all?
never felt lonely or disconnected in the US. So it was like super easy to connect to you, and I really love your culture. And never had a problem like that.
That's sweet, man. That's cool.
The average German person is more planned out than the average American. So if you want to, say you want to go hang out with your friends, I can do like a super spontaneous thing with any American friend I have. There's nobody who's like, oh no, like it's too spontaneous. Here it's more like a couple weeks out. Even the people are like not as super planned. They'll like text you, they'll be like, hey, you want to hang out in like 2 weeks? Unless like a specific event.
Yeah, be
like then you plan it. But if it's to hang out, no. I mean, that's why hanging out is hanging out. You're just relaxing. You don't need to plan to hang out. No, exactly. Exactly. It doesn't take as long to get to a deeper conversation with someone. So if people are more open here, I'd say, there's more like, I mean, it's kind of like a stereotype there. Germans are more critical. They're more direct. Which is somewhat true. One of the things there is as well is connected with the critical. There's a lot more like social, like some more like people watching over you, like social pressure. In the U.S. is a little bit more of an individual culture. Here there's a lot more social pressure coming from just the people around you.
I want to talk briefly about this connection between individualism and collectivism when it comes to America versus Germany or Europe in general. Like, it almost feels like a paradox. On the one hand, America is hyper individualistic. You do your own thing, what people say doesn't really affect you. And yet, when you're out in public or at the grocery store or something, it's much more common to meet someone and talk to them and maybe make a new friend. Exterior social interaction is much more common. Versus in Germany, I feel like there is much more of this social pressure or social connection or kind of this expectation of, you know, caring about people as a broader community. But then when it comes to the individual relationships, you're just not expected, or it'd be uncommon to talk to a stranger on the street. And so to me, it almost feels like Americans care more about you as an individual. That like, yeah, you know, if I meet you, I want to get to know you, I want to talk to you, like, let's hear about your life and that kind of stuff. But when it comes to maybe broader groups of people, they're like, nah, it's up to me. Germans, it feels like the opposite of that. You know, it feels like they want to take care of everybody, they want to make sure everybody is like provided for and safe as a community. But then individually, they don't necessarily care to like get to know you or make friendships. And I say all these things like this is a broad generalization of kind of a societal collection. You know, when it comes to making friends or meeting people individually and like building those kinds of relationships, it's totally different.
Like, what would your plan be to meet people?
Find out if there are some kind of like groups, like sport groups or something I could join, or like just something to kind of find like something else.
Would you be nervous to, like, would you be worried that it would be harder to make friends, or that you'd like end up being lonely?
I would be, yeah, a little bit. I think that's normal.
I was there with other people from my university, so we did a lot of stuff together, went to some events there. A big factor for me how to meet people were churches. Because like whenever I went to a church, I went to a church organization or stuff like that, the people really were happy that I was there. They really did a lot of stuff with me together. I had even one friend from a church, he invited me to his Thanksgiving party, and that was like so great because he had a grandma. She's like 93 years old, and she came from Germany when she was like 18.
Really?
And
So did you get to meet her?
I met her, yeah.
I get to talk in German and stuff?
Yeah, we could talk in German, and she even was in Berlin during World War II, so she faced the bombing, and then she instantly, after that, she found a US soldier and
got out of there.
Exactly.
Do you feel like you have, made friends or like connected with people as much as you would have if you like moved somewhere else differently in the US?
You put it well before, like, I'm the stupid German. Like, because it's kind of like somebody who doesn't speak the language as well, but kind of sounds like one of you.
Right.
But doesn't really have like the same personality. You know, when you speak English, you have a different personality than when you're speaking German. Because you're speaking the language that you're comfortable with. You know the different phraseologies, you know the different idioms and whatnot. And it's just you express yourself, and that's who you are, and you identify with that language. I didn't really identify with German, which means to gain, quote unquote, an identity here as a German speaker kind of like tamps down. It suppresses your personality and, you know, what you can, you know, how outgoing you can seem.
So what he just said there is actually the hardest part, I think, of finding a community. Throughout my whole summer in Germany, there was only like one person who I felt like I could express myself and still have my personality in German. You know, that being said, like in general, I could communicate fine, I could have conversations, I could meet people, they could get to know about me. I never felt like I could properly express myself and who I am. I was just boring. There are so many nuances to the way that we speak in any language, obviously not just English. And I think as Jonah put it, like it takes so long and so much effort to build the same identity you have in one language in another. And that's coming from a fluent speaker, not somebody like myself. It would take years and years for me to get to a point where I could say I have the same personality and the same identity in German that I would in English. And so that's something, you know, I definitely think about and am thinking about if I would consider moving back to Germany. So what do you think? I find this topic fascinating, and I really enjoyed the opportunity of discussing it with my friends, so I would love to hear any opinions or perspectives that you might have on this topic. I read every comment, and I respond to most of them, so definitely let me know what your thoughts are. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. I'd love to have you stick around, and I will see you guys in the next video. Tschüss!
I think in contrast to the